Hit your music.
Let's talk wrestling. Welcome to Wizard World Virtual Experiences Popular Culture Psychology, Episode 6. This week we have Wrestlemania Psychology, a breakdown of the Smackdown. I am here with some people who know a whole lot more about wrestling than I do, and we welcome your questions, comments, insults, bribes. Hard to do bribes online, but by gosh, give us a try through whichever venue you're watching this. I am turning the conversation over to the esteemed Dr. Billy San Juan, because he knows a whole lot about wrestling and he's been eager to talk about this. Billy, who are you?
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Billy San Juan. I am a therapist, writer, raconteur. I have worked on the Sterling Publishing line of Psych Geeks books, for which Dr. Langley is our editor. I've also done writing for Magic the Gathering, and I'm a lifelong wrestling fan.
Rob?
Well, for everybody at home, my name is Rob Gonzalez. I work in the esports arena. I do content. I own a studio where we do lots of content as well. And I am what you would say is a little bit of a WWE fan. I've only been a fan for, 38 years or so. And I've had the blessing of being able to work with a lot of the talent on the gaming side. And it's always been a part of my life, being able to hang out, with people like Kenny Omega, or being able to hang out with Xavier Woods and all these other gaming folks. So I'm here today to say a lot of really extravagant, weird hot takes, but you're going to appreciate it if you're a wrestling fan.
Mo?
I'm Mo Lightning. I am a rock radio morning show host in Central Illinois, following a couple of years of being a moderator for Wizard World Comic Con, where I went through a bunch of social dives. WWE really looked into me to make sure that they could approve me to moderate and hang out with their stars. I somehow passed that test and was very honored to be able to work with nearly 100 different stars over the course of my years. Nowadays, I also have a podcast called Table Talk, which my co-host is WWE Hall of Famer Devon Dudley. So if I say anything wrong this show, I'm sure I will hear about it in a few days.
Josue?
Hi, I'm Josue Pandeli. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I have been a fan for, I can't even tell you how long. I'm sure I had hair at some point when I was a fan. I go way back. It's been a lifelong passion. And to be able to always have that fan perspective on the panels. Can I tell you that I know all the talent or that I am in the industry? I can tell you that, and it's called kayfabe, right? We'll just say it is. And Kane really a dentist? No, but we can say we are. Billy called me a historian one day, and I said, I believe you. So I'm here, and I appreciate you having me on. I'm excited to talk about Wrestlemania and everything wrestling related. So thank you.
And I am Dr. Travis Langley, Distinguished Professor of Psychology, best known as the author of the book Batman and Psychology, A Dark and Stormy Night, the best book on Batman ever written by me. And before I hand it to Billy, I do want to read the first comment, simply because Platinum Saki says, finally, a live stream that talks about WWE WrestleMania this time. Yay! All right, Dr. San Juan, what's on your mind?
Well, I wanted to go through the card, see if there's any psychology that we can talk about, storyline-wise, dirt sheet-wise, or anything else like that. But the first question, I was pondering this earlier, and we were talking about this before the panel. WrestleMania is kind of the big holiday for wrestling fans. Why is it such a big holiday for us? What is it about the grandeur, the spectacle?
I mean, I think everybody has a different idea of why WrestleMania is important to them based on like where they're at in their lives. Like when you're a little kid, it's just another thing that's just like this huge end of the year. It's like New Year's Eve. It's like Christmas. It's all of these holidays wrapped in one. And it's when anything can happen. This isn't one of those things where it's like, oh, it's going to be a pay-per-view that may not be that great. Like, that if there's a big reveal, it's probably going to happen at WrestleMania. And as an adult, for me, it ends the season for me. Just like with football or baseball, Like, this is the end of the season. We know that the Raw after WrestleMania is going to be insane. So I just get those goosebumps. You know, I put my Miz shirt on today. Our family are really big wrestling fans. My wife has her Rock shirt on here at the studio. So people see us and they're just like, why do these freaks have wrestling shirts on? You know what I mean? Like, but that's because we love WrestleMania and we start celebrating the day before. It's like wrestling Hanukkah. You know, you've got to have a couple of days each day. You like light an old figurine from the WWE, those nasty plastic ones that, like, you know what I'm talking? They're probably like, you have them for like 3 days and they just gather every single piece of dirt like in your entire house. We love it, and people love it just because it marks the end of another year that you've been able to watch wrestling, and hopefully, like I said, the day after on Monday, all hell breaks loose.
I mean, it really is the Super Bowl of pro wrestling. It is not just, as Rob said, the end of the season, the beginning of something new, but there is no bigger event. No company in the history of this business has been able to create one sole event on an annual basis that is bigger than WrestleMania. You know, AEW is definitely making a name for themselves. They don't have that one premier event that you know it's going to be a spectacle, much like the Super Bowl. You have non-football fans watching the Super Bowl because either the halftime show or the commercials, or it's a reason to have a get-together. That's the same thing with WrestleMania. So you know the celebrities are coming out for this event. You know the spectacle and everything is going to be over the top. So you pay attention to WrestleMania. I have a friend that admits he's not excited for WrestleMania at all, but he's going to watch it because that's the thing to do.
Right, and it's part of the shock and the resolution, right? The resolution to all the storyline, something that's been going on for a few months, or nowadays it's kind of a couple weeks, but either way, it's the resolution to what's been happening on the show. But the shock of Vince McMahon loves to shock people, and bringing back somebody or popping somebody out of an egg, hopefully not, but just that whole idea of you didn't see it coming. You are still to this day, can't believe it. Like, can I really go back and watch Undertaker lose to Brock Lesnar? It is hard for me to watch that because when I watch it live, I'm like, wait, what? How did this happen? This doesn't even make sense, right? So that was shock. That was resolution and everything that you want to see in a show like this, because nobody saw it coming. So that's what I look forward to, is that nobody saw it coming. So I love those things.
Yeah, definitely. WrestleMania is it's the big event. Like Mo and Rob and Josue are saying, it's you don't know what to expect. They put out all the stops for the celebrities. I think Bad Bunny is in a match this year, and it definitely helped his career. I did not know who Bad Bunny was until.
Whoa, that's because you're a boomer. First of all, like, you should know who Bad Bunny is if you are under the age of, let's say, 25, which you are not. So Bad Bunny is definitely you know who he is, but his career, it wasn't exactly helped by doing this. WWE is definitely paying him a lot of money to be part of this, just as if when Ronda Rousey and her crew, you know, did that thing with Stephanie and slapping Stephanie around, you know, this is, like you said, this is a great time to have those celebrities jump in. And now he's also very bad at wrestling. So I don't know if you saw Bad Bunny try to jump off the top rope, but it was bad. Let's not do any of that tomorrow. Let's keep him grounded. You know, and maybe hit somebody with he dropped a new shoe that's like super expensive from Adidas, so maybe he'll beat somebody with that to help sell some shoes. I don't know.
Well, let's be honest. I don't think you're going to be that graceful jumping off the top rope for the first time either. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you are.
I'm very good at this. Yeah, I mean,
but no, supposedly he's been training a lot. Even Triple H was he did a press conference earlier this week and said that Bad Bunny's impressing him, and he's gonna turn some heads this weekend. So I hope we're all wrong about this guy.
Well, what is he gonna say? Can you imagine Triple H comes out and he's just like, "This guy's terrible. This guy is the absolute worst."
I would appreciate that, but no, it won't happen.
I mean, well, I could see the Miz or somebody saying that, like, stick to music, my guy. Like, you will never have a platinum hit in WWE. Collect your check, go back to wherever you came from, and leave the wrestling to the wrestlers. You don't see me doing music. Oh, wait, you do see Miz doing music. So, wait, that argument doesn't work. Never mind.
But how much of it is it on the Miz and John Morrison to really shine him up, right? To make
They have
him
to.
look good.
Yeah.
So it's really on them. They have to sell for him when he throws that bad punch or that awkward jump off the top rope. Or, I mean, hopefully, though, they do teach him a good working punch so that he could at least, when they receive it, it at least looks great, right?
Right.
And that's the idea, is that watching that match is really going to be watching Miz and Morrison receiving and how they sell it, right? Because that's back to the basics of this, right? Is how good do they do it? What story are they going to tell? Because they know how good they can make it look, or how bad they can make it look at the same time. So I think it's going to weigh a lot on what they do with it. But yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, he's a big fan. He incorporates a lot of talent into his music, whether it's Booker T or whoever it's been to. Who else was it? Was it Ric Flair in his or in the other? I can't tell.
Now Ric Flair was with the Migos. That Ric Flair drip.
I'm also not under 25. So
right. Yeah.
With some of these.
Yes, my apologies to any Bad Bunny fans out there. I am not I'm not into popular culture by any means. So
that'll be a cool Twitch clip, though.
I'm sorry?
It'll be a cool Twitch clip. It'll be like, and the doctor said that WWE is making the career of Bad Bunny. We'll put that on replay on the Twitter.
There you go. And if Bad Bunny does not do well, he will get Steve-O'd. All right. So we're going to go through the card. I'd love to get your guys' opinion on it. Storyline wise, we'll discuss any psychology because the storylines often play into that. I don't know. I know that they're starting off with Lashley versus McIntyre. And Lashley was part of the Hurt Business. They broke up. The redemption arc, both in story but also in real life for Drew McIntyre, is just super inspirational. What are your guys' thoughts on that match?
I think it's going to be a hard-hitting match. I think it has a chance to impress a lot of people, but I don't feel the heat behind it. I think you have a separate story with Lashley and the Hurt Business going right now, and you have Drew McIntyre just getting out of the best friend feud. I think the match is going to be good, but I think it could have been great.
Yeah, I don't think you could be any more right with that. It's weird because when you're essentially, if you're leading off the show, right? We know it's going to be great wrestling, but we want this story. We want this, again, it's WrestleMania. You want the culmination of the story arc. This is supposed to be, Infinity War, and like this is supposed to be Endgame for us, and there's like nothing to that. It's just two big, strong dudes you don't want to find in a dark alleyway going right at each other. And why do we care? Like that's the big thing, is like you've got one person who was previously the champ, the other one as the champ, and it's just like, like even if Drew McIntyre wins the best match that's ever been created, or Bobby Lashley does the same, like you're just gonna go, so like,
why are you walking in a dark alley though?
Listen, what I do on my personal time where I run into professional wrestlers in dark alleys is between me and those professional wrestlers, okay?
I just want to know who you're expecting to meet there. But,
maybe I'm selling things. I don't know. Jesus.
He enters the alley and then you hear Edge's music hit.
Yeah, exactly. You hear the old like Gangrel music going, and like the red lights come up, and, the Brood come out. You're just like, oh my God, what happened? This is not the right dark alleyway. I don't know what the
not the right dark alleyway.
Are not good. But I think you guys are right that it's hopefully going to turn into something, because right now it feels cold. But with WrestleMania, some of the best matches come in cold, with not a whole lot of buildup and exceed expectations. And it's usually, especially if they do open the show, they're going to, set that bar high, and these guys are actually really good, right? So they can pull it together. So it's setting low expectations, only have great results with WWE sometimes. It's when you have high expectations that you're just like, this is not going to go anywhere. This is going to suck. And I think that's what's going to help this match, that I think everybody's looking at it kind of as a starter, as no story. Let's see where it goes. And it might surprise us with a run-in with I mean, there's so many variables with WrestleMania, right? Whose music's going to start playing about 7 minutes in?
Yeah, like a random John Cena sighting or something to that effect. And
Goldberg.
you're right. Right. Yeah. Or well, no, please, no more Goldberg. I don't want to see any more Goldberg. I'm done.
How about a glass crash, a Steve Austin?
Now that would be the greatest.
Right?
That's how you start the show. You have him come
Yes.
in, slap everybody around, but the problem is that it's kind of like, who can come into this match to give it some life? Who can make the story acceptable for Monday? Because we know that Bobby Lashley in general, I think as a champion, isn't a very, I don't say marketable champion, because I think his mic work is okay, it's decent. It's like the bigger these guys get, sometimes their mic work seems to go in the other way. I don't know, it seems like the smaller guys just happen to just talk better. But I'm just concerned that you're taking these two kind of immovable forces that we're being presented as, and letting them fight it out when they don't really care. They care about the championship, but there needs to be some sneaky part of it, right? If the Money in the Bank briefcase were in play, something to that effect, I think that would make this a lot more interesting. But beyond that, I think you said it. It's this is going to set the tempo for the energy of the show. If you put somebody like these two guys in the front, everybody after that has to look at that and go, on the biggest stage, these guys just gave every sweat bead that they have in their body. So I think that's more along the lines of why these guys are first, because they're hard workers. You don't see them take, the time off. You don't ever look at them in the ring and go, man, they are sluggish today. This is Bobby Lashley's time to show that he can really carry the weight of this expectation, which has been however many years we've been waiting to see if that's actually possible.
I think there's something else that needs to be discussed with this opener. It's the fact that this is the first WWE event in over a year with fans in attendance, with live fans in the crowd. So this opener is even more important than a typical WrestleMania opener, because you need to welcome us back. You need to get them hyped up. So either you're going to have one hell of a match, or Drew McIntyre's got to walk out as champion to make the crowd happy. So you got to do something tonight to really make it big.
That kind of ties in. We're gonna go on a quick tangent from the rest of the card into the psychology of professional wrestling with a crowd versus without a crowd, because I know that some organizations, they had wrestlers in the crowd. I think AEW did that for a while. WWE went with I forgot what they called it, the Thunderdome.
Yep.
How does that impact us as viewers and as fans in terms of not having a live crowd there and them having to pump in chants?
It didn't work for me. It was, I watched the Hall of Fame, and it's watching the Hall of Fames is rough as it is. And it's great to have it when you have an audience there. And I've gone to one in person, and it is rough. It's great to do it one time, but do it one time, that's good. Next time, watch it on TV. This one was really rough because all of the speeches were prepared. There was no induction. It was just the speech. And the audience was just kind of, like you said, they had at one point, somebody cracked a joke, and you could tell that when they started, they had the people on the screens go, okay, everybody laugh one time, like they do when they're recording a live show where you practice those to fill it in. And you could tell there was a lot of post-production, and it gets corny and cheesy, and it's not natural. It's kind of what Vince McMahon wants you to react. That's the button he's going to push, or whoever the director is, or it's Kevin Dunn, or whoever's going to be pushing the button, right? That's how they want you to react. Like the video games, right? Where it's like, okay, the good guy throws the bad guy over, or the heel over the ropes, everybody cheers. And if it's the other way around, everybody boos. And it's almost felt that way. So it takes you out of it, to me. And AEW did jump to that earlier on, right? Where they were having even just their own employees there cheering, booing, whatever, but at least it was a natural reaction. You won't have a Toronto crowd or a Chicago crowd, right, where they kind of churn against the folks in the ring. So it'll be good to have 25,000, or when they announce it live, they'll have it'll be 107,000. They'll say that they actually have, but it'll be 25,000 in attendance. So it's one of those things where the live crowd's going to make the difference because they will actually react organically versus this robotic response of this is what I think they want to hear.
If anybody watched the NXT Stand and Deliver events over the last couple of days, they had an increased crowd there too. And you could feel the difference. The chants were authentic and the reactions were not delayed or piped in. I mean, you could really feel the difference. So I think this show is really going to help WWE moving forward.
Yeah, I think that's what what everyone said is dead on. It's just, but to get to the question that you asked, Billy, is, what's the difference, between having an audience and not having an audience? Well, obviously, as a wrestler, it's so difficult. It is so difficult to operate in essentially like a dark room, you know what I mean, compared to when you have people screaming at you, and if you're a heel, you're picking out the kid in the audience and you're telling him his shirt is dumb, or you're saying your mom is ugly, or whatever it is, like the kind of cool stuff that happens when you get to live that up and you get to feed off of that energy, and it juices you up, just like in the NBA or in football. It's hard when you're playing with no audience, and it has been an essential part of wrestling since the very beginning. Even if you're wrestling in a dark alley, like I was saying earlier, it's better when you have people who are watching, and then you can find out who does the audience actually like versus who does Vince like, like, and we've seen plenty of opportunities where it's been like, WWE wants to push a certain, I won't name, wrestler very hard, and the audience doesn't like that, and they go completely against it. And then now that builds more storylines. So we're going to get back not only into real life, because we've got all of the vaccines being rolled out and life will get back to normal eventually. And now WWE doesn't get like under that microscope of like Triple H's, thumb and Vince's thumb to say, this is exactly where the storyline is going to go, barring injury. Now the audience has their say again. And that is exactly what we need in WWE, because again, as a WWE fan, I don't want to rely on WWE writing and storytelling to try to outgun, let's say, AEW storytelling and things like that, where they're willing to take maybe some more risks. So the audience can really, as opposed to WWE giving something to the audience, I think the audience is really going to give WWE that pump.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree more with you guys. The human beings are social creatures, and the smaller the amount of people in the audience, the more they feel self-conscious doing the things we all love to do at live events. But the more people are there, it's kind of a derivation. It's kind of a different, that's all, folks. It's kind of a tangent off of the bystander effect, where we start to lose ourselves, we start to blend in with the crowd, and the crowd becomes one living being. And all of us here have been to live events. Many of you at home have been to live events. You know that feeling where you start a cheer, even if you're an inhibited person, an introverted person in everyday life, you start blending in with the crowd and you start doing the motions and the chants, and it makes you feel like you're part of a giant family. It's
the best audience I ever had for a convention panel was 8. Now, it was not my topic. My topic's pack the room, but somebody else had a topic that he because of whether he couldn't be there, he asked me to take it over. The audience was 8, and they were fantastic. Have earlier, John Perry weighed in a couple times saying, you all seem to think Billy Kay and Carmelia can win. When I asked people online, why is wrestling popular, I got way over 100 answers, 3 kinds of answers. A bunch of people about celebrating it. Their answer is like, Etrigan Antares, because it's over the top and guys in sweaty spandex. It's a show. Colin Moore, it's a combination athletic performance plus rock concert plus soap opera. What's not to like? And a lot of those. Then there are the people who like Ben K 1976. This is a question that haunts me. They're saying they don't get it. And then there are those weighing in with things such as because the population of stupid people is getting larger, because people are dim. So you might give a different kind of answer to those who just don't get it but genuinely want to know, and those who are a bit opposed to it. What do y'all say to folks like these?
Here, let me start with you here. So you're wondering at home why people like wrestling, and there, like you said, there's these two camps. There's the people who maybe have an idea, and then you have the haters, the people who don't like Christmas, the people who don't like turkey, the people who don't drink soda, the people who don't eat candy, that they hate Easter, they hate everything good in life. That's those people. And guess what? It's not that people are dim, that they like wrestling. Humans like watching other humans beat the hell out of each other. It is human nature. You wake up, if you could just wake up from your nap or your sleep and there's two people fighting and you were going to be completely safe, you'd watch that. That is just what we do. We love it. We love watching people play football, hitting each other straight in the head with their bodies. We loved watching hockey where people get paid to take a puck and throw it and hit it with a stick hundreds of miles an hour at your face. And then if you get angry, you can fight each other. What? In basketball, you have huge guys. The best part of basketball, the absolute best part of basketball, is a huge human, 6'7" or 6'8", flying through the air at another human and making him and embarrassing him and maybe hurting him and then yelling at him when he hits the ground. That is literally what we do in professional sports. What wrestling does is it takes all of these great things and hopefully people don't get hurt. And you can pretend to kill people. You can pretend to kill people. You can bury them in a coffin. What is not great about that? That is like taking jelly beans, putting it on ice cream, putting like your favorite topping on top of that. It is beautiful. My favorite memory is a man being locked in a coffin, scratching himself out of it. That is what I dreamt of as a child. If you don't love these things, you're not American. You're not human. You're just a troll. So just go somewhere else. You don't know what's good in life. Just bury yourself. I don't care. You don't understand wrestling. So go away. You don't love good things.
Too bad, Rob.
Well,
You
that's
have
the
strong
panel,
feelings
Rob.
about this.
Sorry, Mo, what was that?
No, I was just asking Rob if he has high blood pressure.
I do now. I do
Okay.
now.
Travis, in wrestling, that's what's called a pipe bomb. That's what's called a shoot.
Because he blew up.
He was laying down truth. He cut a promo on the haters.
No, it's like wrestling's not my thing, but definitely not a hater. I'm not going to put down anybody for liking something that is not my thing. It's just, man, I like things that are not most people's things. Oh, that could sound really weird, but like I'm watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier last night, and these are people pretending to hurt each other.
It's
we got some folks weighing in. Jonathan Wellington. There are people that love UFC but think wrestling is stupid when they are the same thing essentially. And and then I see Billy loving his own people. Rebecca Wick. That was passionate, Rob. Well done.
Well, listen, imagine how great UFC would be if you came out and, that's why Conor McGregor was so just special in UFC, because he would come out, he knows it's a show. He's saying all kinds of craziness. And when he wins, it's awesome, right? Because that's what we're used to in wrestling. Like the guy talks all this crap and then he beats the hell out of the next person. Now, if everybody in UFC did that, and on top of that, they had ring entrances like WWE, UFC would be insane because you could watch regular like wrestling and then you could watch the like real fighting. That's all I want. All I want is like a 90-pound, one of our female UFC stars to come out there and just cut the best promo in the universe, like carrying the belt, but then actually fighting. You know what I mean? Like I'm telling you, small people give better promos. It's just the way it is. Like, so, or same thing with like a lot of these guys, like that's what UFC I think is actually missing, is this environment of pumping up the entertainment value. And that's why WWE that's the E in it, is you've got to have mic skills. You've got to have these things. And without those haters, without those people who hate wrestling, like those are the fuel to the fire. Those are the people who constantly doubt the athletic ability of all of these wrestlers, who don't understand what it takes to do this 350 days a year, who don't understand the sacrifices that wrestlers have to make. And because on the same breath, like this person saying, UFC fighters, they're not on the road 350 days. Like they have what, 3 fights a year? They don't have to cut promos. They do interviews where somebody says, well, Mr. Gonzalez, can you tell me a little bit about your plan going into the fight? And you're just like, I'm gonna beat him. like that's it. Thank you. So insightful. Like that is the extent of what's necessary.
Not to hate on anyone who does MMA, because those athletes do, they train every single day.
They have to not get killed, like literally get killed. So if you're not good on the mic, I don't care, because I know you're fighting for your actual life. Like, so it is what it is. So yeah, you're right. It's like, I live in Albuquerque, so like an MMA fighter could come through the door at any point in time. So I don't want to say anything too inflammatory, but it's like, that's why you have a lot of these MMA fighters get to a point in their career where they're like, I don't want to possibly die every day. Like I'm good. My chin is good where it's at. Like arm, I like it not dislocated. So, you know, we were talking about Ronda Rousey. It's like a very good example of when she was on top of the world and she's having, you know, 10-minute matches and getting paid millions of dollars for it. That's awesome. When Holly Holmes is kicking your face off, it's not quite as awesome anymore. Like, well, maybe we should go to WWE and hang out there for a little bit.
It's like I have a much more distinct memory of the match between Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant than any Muhammad Ali fight I ever saw.
Travis, why do you think that is?
It was a spectacle. They're putting on their show. Well, I mean, it was such a show. I mean, they bring in at the standard wrestling thing. Oh, the rules are being broken when the ref's not looking. Oh, wait, it's the ref's evil twin. That was in that match. But then when Hulk's being taken to the hospital at the end, we all thought that was still part of the show. You find out much later on, it's like, no, when Andre told Hulk to pick him up and he's really ripping ligaments in his back, we just, it was very odd bit where they're showing this they seem kind of somber, this bit him going off to the hospital, but it was real.
Well, I think that's
no, you go ahead, then I'll read somebody else's comment.
Well, I think that's a big difference as well between the WWE or any pro wrestling versus MMA. With MMA, there's a build up to the storyline, and the storyline ends at the fight because you have that resolution. We know who the better person is. With pro wrestling, the storyline continues. There's themes of vengeance, anger, revenge, which is the same thing as vengeance, but I couldn't come up with a third thing, so I just said it again. All of those things. And another thing that I'd like to point out is the physicality and what people who are in the know call ring psychology. When you're in a real fight, you're doing whatever you can, and sometimes it doesn't look pretty. You know, a Kimura is a very devastating move, could pop out your shoulder, rip up your elbow, but it's not the most exciting for anyone beyond the fifth row in the stadium. Wrestling focuses on the spectacle. And in terms of that ring psychology, a lot of people who don't enjoy wrestling, they'll look at a match and they'll just see random acts of violence in the ring. You know, oh, he picked him up. Oh, he threw him. And Josue, I know Josue knows this because he and I have shared many stories about watching wrestling matches just very intently and analyzing them. Every match is a story. And one of the best stories I've seen actually happened, it was in NXT. It was when Nakamura made his debut. Nakamura was what's called a face. He's a good guy. He just came into the company, one of the biggest names in wrestling, especially in Japan. He fought against Sami Zayn, who was also a good guy. So how do you tell a story when there's two protagonists and no antagonists? And the way they did that in the ring was just absolutely beautiful. The types of holds that you use, the reactions, how long you sell, how you play to the crowd. Do you use underhanded moves? Oh, okay. Oh, I don't like this guy. You know, do you throw your fist, or do you throw a punch with a fist, or do you use a forearm? well, fists are illegal, so that must be a bad guy. Things like that. Whereas in MMA, it is real life, but real life isn't always pretty. Real life fighting isn't always entertaining.
And
Candace Cable Barlow weighs in with, you haven't lived if you haven't put your siblings in wrestling holds and had them put holds on you to see how much they really hurt. I guess that's one aspect of wrestling that works. The kids can act like that out much more safely than acting out a pro boxing match.
Oh, but that happens too. Don't get it twisted. I mean, it's not like, when you're a kid, if you watch boxing, you probably have little boxing gloves and you go at it. If you watch golf or whatever you're watching, right? So like from my family, my brother and I, we used to watch wrestling all the time. So it was like I got in the worst trouble of my life because I was the bad guy in my house. My brother was the face in our house. And one day I threw salt in his eyes. Because yes, I did. And my brother will tell you this story all the time because my mom was about to basically beat the black off of me because when she came home, she was like, why is your brother crying? And I was like, I threw salt at him. And she was like, she didn't comprehend that like I was like doing one of these, like blinding my opponent kind of things. She
Mr.
thought like,
Fuji.
yeah, and so yes, that's why they tell you not to do these things at home. But if you are a child, you do these things at home, like, and especially if you're the bigger sibling, like you'll be doing like you'd suplex, your kids and, or your brothers. But as an adult, I have 2 kids and my son is 5 and my daughter is going to be 2 next week. They get the moves too. They get rock bottoms. They get all of this stuff. And now they know how to, like, I showed them Yokozuna. And so now my daughter, she like goes around and she just basically butt slams people. And my son does it too, but he associates it with Mario Brothers. But my daughter has just seen Yokozuna. So she Yokozuna's my wife. And she's like, why would you do that? And I'm like, because she wants to win. She wants to win, okay? You wrestle to win. You wrestle to get up, to get a championship spot, and you have it. So she's coming for you. Don't worry. So anyway, yes, wrestling is built in to do the moves and do it, and you have a good time, and you haven't had a good time unless you put your siblings or your wife or your husband or your kids in X number of moves.
Yeah,
now, we're already coming up at a quarter till the hour, which means we got about 5 minutes left with Wizard. And we'll continue.
Sorry, guys.
We'll continue our conversation and put it on our Comic Confusion channel within the week. Billy, do you have a last question you want to get to? I think Jonathan Weller's other question is going to have to wait for our post show. Billy, do you have one more you want to get to while we're still with Wizard?
We do. Just to close up the WrestleMania theme, let's ask our panelists, what match for this WrestleMania are you excited for? And can you give us why in terms of storyline and psychology?
For me, I'm loving the Edge, Roman Reigns, and Daniel Bryan triple threat because of the real life implications of it, where 2 of them had to retire and it looked like a third one was going to take a long time off because of a battle with cancer, basically. So all of these guys, all 3 of these competitors have beaten the odds in real life to come back to be able to compete. Daniel Bryan with a lot of neck and shoulder injuries, lost a lot of mobility in his arms. He's back wrestling just as great as he always was. Edge is, retired after 9 years, back at it at nearly 50 years of age, looking phenomenal. And then Roman Reigns coming back from beating cancer again and playing the heel, playing the bad guy of all things. It's just all of this put together. It's just going to be a joy on a real life side of things, just to watch these guys be able to main event WrestleMania. So proud of all of them.
Edge looks at 50 the way I wished I looked at 20.
I wish I looked at it at any point.
Yeah.
I mean, it is true. And I mean, that match is spectacular to see 3 people who, if you would have told us, 5 or 6 years ago that these 3 people would be in the same ring competing at the main event of WrestleMania, I would have called you a damn liar. There's just, and in the middle of a pandemic, this is somebody who has cancer in the middle of a pandemic. And so, I mean, they're doing a lot more than just risking their bodies in ring to be able to do this. But, for me, I'm always a big fan of The Fiend. I'm always a huge fan of Bray Wyatt and everything that he is bringing to the table to be the new Undertaker, to be the boogeyman, and to wear his little Nas X Satan shoes or whatever he does to the ring and scaring the hell out of all of the children who are watching WrestleMania, where your mom has to cover your eyes because he is the scariest thing you have ever seen since maybe like Papa Shango. Remember when Papa Shango came out and like scared you to death? Like, he does that way better. So I love the fact that WrestleMania is going to have somebody who's not, you don't have to cover your kids' eyes because of sex. You have to cover their eyes because they legitimately get nightmares watching Bray Wyatt do anything. So congratulations to you for being the boogeyman and not the other boogeyman that had foam coming from his mouth. You are the boogeyman. You remember that? I see some weird faces here. I remember.
No,
It was worms, wasn't it?
I feel like you're one step away from disrespecting that boogeyman, and you and I will have issues with that.
Oh my God. Okay, well, let's not get into the wrestling. We don't have time for it. But yes, Bray Wyatt, I love you. You're great. You're gonna have an excellent time at WrestleMania, scaring all the little children.
I think there's so many good possible matches on this card that are not talked about. Like there's the Cesaro versus Seth Rollins, right? And there's Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn, which is going to get ruined. I know it's going to get ruined because it's also with Logan Paul. Who cares? Like can he just like get lost on the way to the building and they can just let these two guys go at it? And I think there's a lot of that. There's a few women's matches also on here that like, and unfortunately, I don't understand the tag team turmoil match that they're having. I understand getting everybody on there. I know who's not winning, and I know who is, which is going to be Lana and Naomi because she wins everything. Lana wins everything accidentally, right? Yep. So she's going to win probably. But I'm glad that they're getting a lot of women on this card. But Asuka versus Rhea Ripley should be really good because you have two, NXT women that were amazing that I think will really kill it. And there's a lot. I think there's going to be a lot going on, a lot of surprises, a lot of things that are going to go the wrong way. I smell it on this card, a lot of wrong way. But I hope I'm wrong and that Logan Paul.
Which match do you like the best? You got to pick one on the spot.
No pressure. No pressure.
Jeez, that's so tough. I guess anything with Daniel Bryan and the resolution to that Roman Reigns finish with a tap out. I think that's really going to be it. I mean, they got a good main event. There's going to be a lot of emotion in that one, and it's going to be something unexpected. I think that's going to really bring something unexpected because I can't tell you that I know who's going to win. Do you? All
right, where can everybody find all of you online? Starting with Dr. Billy.
You can find me at Billy_Sense on Twitter and Instagram. That's at BILLI_SENSE.
Rob.
For everybody at home who wants to get taken to the cleaners in an argument, you can find me on Twitter, on Facebook, at your mom's house, at Reforge, at REFORGG. Anytime you want that smoke, you can come find me there.
In the dark alley.
In the dark alley. with a wrestler or maybe not with a wrestler. We don't know.
I don't want to find out. I'm at Mo Lightning on all of the socials, all undercase, no spaces, nothing. Just all at Mo Lightning. And if you want a link to my podcast, just hit me up through mine and I'll give you the link from there.
Josue.
I'm at Jake Pandeli, pan like a frying pan, deli like a sandwich deli, wherever you want to go. That's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever. No, it's more social media.
No, wait, hold on. I'm looking up your TikTok right now.
It's just him in a dark alley.
It's in a dark alley.
For me, just look for Travis Langley. I'm easy to find at Superheroologist on Twitter. Look for Travis Langley. You can spell that one right. And my final thoughts agree with Jonathan Wellinger. You guys are amazing. All right. Thank you all.